I like being in France because I'm a stranger. I needn't have to understand everything. It's like being on the train and opening up the windows. You could sort of shriek about naked and then pull the shutter down and you're gone. No one can catch you. And that's, it's rather like, I mean, you know, I've come here and you don't stop. I never arrive at the destination, which is what I like best.
All the David Baileys of Paris are there, as well as the Rothschilds, half the French cabinet, and France's leading lady, Madame Georges Pompidou, wife of the president. Costumes are halfway between the chic and the avant-garde, and leading the fashion are 18 helmeted officers of the French household cavalry. Programmes sell at £4 a time, well within the price range, and all proceeds to cancer research. But the girl who got the most eyes at her entrance wasn't even French at all. She's 23-year-old Jane Birkin, and English to the eyebrows. Open any magazine in Paris and you'll find her somewhere inside. Her features, all fresh-faced and fringed, peer out of 100 covers. Her figure advertises everything from the latest slimline to herself. Only a few months ago, 3 of her films were running simultaneously in the Champs-Élysées. It's a storybook success saga, all the more exotic in that it's happened in another country.
Well, France is the last place I thought I'd ever go to. I mean, I was sort of sexy bombshells doing well in France and vamps and things, and I didn't think it'd ever be me, sort of.
The man behind her and beside her is actor-composer Serge Gainsbourg, twice married and former confidant of Brigitte Bardot. He's 41, with a face that reminded one commentator of a badly sewn-together fire hose. They live together in his very black, very stylized, very wicked apartment on the left bank.
If he was a very young boy, then I think I'd be frightened because of now the success and the sort of the fame and the thing of beautiful girls coming round all the time for songs, you know. I mean, it's all the time they come in asking for songs. I mean, it's no less than you sit down to dinner and somebody says, I've got rather a pretty voice, they tell me, would you? And I suddenly see visions of sort of horrible little piano lessons, you know, so with the scrumptious blonde. And I mean, the only sort of consolation I've got is, oh, well, he's been doing it for a long time now. He's done practically everything. So perhaps he knows more what he wants now. It's not quite so risky as someone who could be sort of carried off with the sort of fame and every new actress, you know. So in a way, it's a bit of a relief. And then other times I get cross because I'm even jealous of the past, let alone the time. But then that's stupid because there's nothing you can do about that.
Last Christmas, they were voted Couple of the Year by the columnists. An English lady wrote that to see them together is to believe again every romantic novel ever written. Jane Birkin was married once before to another composer, John Barry, and has a 2-year-old daughter. This time, there's been no ceremony.
Somehow, when you're living with somebody, it's that much more... You don't take anything for granted quite as much. It's not that sure. And it's somehow exciting. And of course, I often want to get married. I mean, there's sort of moments when you think it might be nice to sort of rush off and do it, because it's fun to rush off and do it. The actual thing of doing it is such fun. And then you think, oh, well, no, perhaps not, because everyone I've talked to, even people that haven't broken up, because people either seem to have broken up or it's still going all right, and they say, yes, the first year it's great fun and everything, and then after that, well, it grows into something else. And I don't want it to grow into something else. I want it like it is now, and I don't want it to change. I don't want one person to have to get less faithful to you. I mean, even just a tiny bit. I don't want anything less than what it is now.
Most of the time, Jane and Serge spend filming. She's made 5 films in France, mostly of the cheap-budget thriller variety, and is currently finishing off the 6th, Cannabis. Her roles have a certain similarity, usually that of a slightly clumsy, slightly lost English girl who gets caught up in the underworld. It's the sort of part that petite little French girls wouldn't even try.
And perhaps there are other people like me in England, whereas here it's non-existent, really. There are a lot of very beautiful, very sophisticated girls, but not ones that could be a bit sort of mothy and...
Do you think you're mothy?
Sometimes I feel mothy, but I'm capable of great mothiness in some ways, so...
Her French is all schoolgirl and simple, but the accent goes down big in the pop stations. Jane Birkin was first seen in England as a giggly girl in a brief nude scene in Blow Up. But she didn't hit the headlines until her sex record, Je t'aime moi non plus. It was banned by the Vatican, but still managed to reach #1. In France, it sold 2 golden discs and hasn't been out of the charts for 18 months.
I just thought the whole thing was so romantic and everything like that I didn't sort of worry about it. It was only when the Vatican banned it and said it was pornographic, and suddenly I thought, well, what is all this? You know, it seemed to me to be quite normal, but then I thought, well, perhaps I've changed. Perhaps one's whole idea of everything's changed. I don't really care about being in a dress you can see through a bit, you know. That sort of thing really doesn't worry me anymore. I find lots of other things much more shocking than that.
Being a star in Paris gains you entrance to a number of discreet night spots where admission is only by celebrity. Haunts like Chez Regine's, where the clientele ranges from elderly millionaires to Omar Sharif. The fingers of French sophistication are long-reaching. Here, even pop stars have to exude a certain style. But behind the glamour, Jane's nostalgia is across the English Channel.
It's nice to speak English, and anyone you meet, you can actually talk to them and things like that. That's lovely, and I'm just very, very English.